Some stories are better left unheard. These stories are told at 2 a.m. Tonight's episode is about strange encounters in the woods, stories from people who claim they've heard voices that shouldn't have been there, and things that look almost human, but not quite. My name's Emily, and you're watching Stories at 2 a.m. Turn off the lights, get comfortable, and let's begin. What is a skinwalker? In Jehovah folklore, a skinwalker is said to be a person who can transform into animals. People describe seeing creatures that look like deer, coyotes, or wolves. But something always seems wrong. The eyes look too human. The movements are unnatural. And sometimes they speak. Whether they're real or just stories, thousands of people online claim they've experienced something they can't explain. Here are 3 of those stories. Story 1. The Voice Outside. When I was 15, my family went camping deep into the woods. It's around midnight. Everyone else had gone to sleep. I was lying in my sleeping bag when I heard footsteps outside the tent. Slow. Crunch, crunch, crunch. I thought it was an animal until I heard my brother's voice. Hey, come outside. The problem was my brother was asleep right beside me. I sat completely still. For a few seconds later, the voice came again. Come outside, I need help. This time it sounded exactly like him. I looked over. He was still asleep. Footsteps circled our tent for almost an hour. When morning came, we found tracks all around on the campsite. But they suddenly stopped, like whatever made them simply vanished. Okay, for my thoughts of the story, I was thinking like it could be her brother if he was in like a different tent. But for him to like be right beside her, I feel like you like just know that like that ain't him. Is that even if that's a person that's not your brother? And that's just crazy. Here's story 2, the deer. A man was driving home on a back road late one night. His headlights caught a deer standing beside the road. At first, nothing seemed strange. The deer stood up, not rear-ended, stood up on 2 legs. The man froze. The creature turned its head towards the car, or its eyes reflected on in the night, but it didn't look afraid. It was curious, almost like it was studying him. When it took a step forward, the man sped away. When he looked in his rearview mirror, the creature was still standing there, watching. I feel like if it was just a normal deer, okay, but like standing up on 2 legs, I would have left immediately. Okay, last story of the night. Story 3, the window. A girl was home alone one rainy evening. Around 2 a.m., she heard tapping on the bedroom window. Tap, tap, tap. She lived on the 2nd floor. There was no tree nearby, no ladder, nothing. The tapping continued. She finally gathered enough courage to peek through the blinds. Something was crouched on the roof. It looked human at first. Then it smiled. The smile stretched too wide. She immediately closed the blinds and called her parents. The tapping stopped. The next morning, there were muddy handprints outside of the glass. No one ever figured out how they got there. Were these encounters... That's it. That's honestly crazy. Were these encounters with skinwalkers? Were they misunderstood animals? Or were they simply stories that grew into the dark? Nobody knows. But if you're ever alone at night, you hear a familiar voice. He's calling your name outside. Make sure you know who's really speaking. This has been Stories at 2 a.m. And remember, some things are better left unheard.